What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Keaton, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Link is in the box below as I get into my Week 17 NFL predictions. So let's not waste any time here. Let's get into these picks. Last week went 10-6, which is pretty good there. Season 147-91, which is solid. So let's just finish off these last 2 weeks on a high note. NFL playoff picture entering Week 17. We'll start the AFC side. Division leaders: Ravens, Dolphins, Chiefs, Jags. Wildcard teams: Browns, Bills, Colts. Teams in the hunt: Texans, Steelers, Bengals, Raiders, Broncos. NFC side: division leaders: 49ers, Lions, Eagles, Bucks. Wildcard teams: Cowboys, Rams, Seahawks. Teams in the hunt: Vikings, Falcons, Packers, Saints, Bears. Thursday Night Football, we have the New York Jets at the Cleveland Browns. Browns favored by 7.5. Jets coming off of a high-scoring win at home against the Commanders, 30-28. The Jets did what they needed to do to win the game. Obviously, was kind of surprised with how high-scoring the game was, with how both offenses have been looking all season. The Jets were up big early in the game, and the Commanders almost came back and won. Jets were able to hold off the Commanders there late with a field goal to win the game there. So credit the Jets. They're still fighting, even though they're not in the playoff mix anymore. The Cleveland Browns, they're coming off a road win at the Texans 36-22. I really like the way the Browns defense contained the Texans offense throughout that game with no C.J. Stroud. For the offense for the Texans, Joe Flacco continues to fling that football down the field and continues to put the Browns in position to win and succeed. And this Browns team, like I said, the defense is elite. Like I keep saying, this is one of the best defenses in football, and they continue to show that week in and week out. So if they somehow, if they're able to hold on to that 5 seed, which I believe they will, they're going to cause a lot of problems for teams in the playoffs if they continue to play elite football on that side of the ball and they continue to get good production from the offense. But overall in this game, I'm going with the Browns 22-16. I just think they're a better football team here. I think they'll be able to contain the Jets offense, who has been struggling on that side. So give me the Browns 22-16 in Cleveland. Really good game here. We have the Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 6 points. Lions coming off of a road win at Minnesota, 30-24. The Lions did what they needed to do. They really, especially on defense, they really shut down the Vikings offense throughout that game. They really turned over Nick Mullins, especially late in that game. Jared Goff and that offense continues to just do really good things on that side of the football. The running game is really good, and the Lions got a big time road win to clinch their first NFC North title since 1993. Like I said before, they have a lot of good things going for them as they are fighting for the number 1 seed in the NFC here. The Dallas Cowboys, they're coming off of a road loss at Miami, 22-20. Dallas Cowboys continues to struggle on the road. They were in the game from start to finish, but like I said, Dak Prescott continues to turn the ball over in the most inopportune time, and just not putting his team in position to succeed and be successful, especially on the road here. So, like I said, Dallas Cowboys, if they want to get to the Super Bowl or if they want to win the Super Bowl, they got to be able to win on the road, and they just haven't been able to do that. But overall in this game, give me the Cowboys 27-26. I just think, like I said, they're just a better home team than they are on the road. They have yet to lose a home game this season, and stuff like that. So I think they'll do just enough to hold off a really good, hungry Lions team here, 27-26 in Dallas. AFC East battle, we have the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. Bills favored by 12 points. Patriots coming off of a road win at Denver, 26-23. I was not expecting my New England Patriots to go into Denver and beat the Broncos. Obviously, you look at Denver, they have a lot more to play for than this New England Patriots team. But the Patriots team, like I keep saying, they're the 8th best defense in football right now. And that's the only bright spot they have going on their team right now. Barmore had about 3 sacks on Wilson. The defense continues to fly around the football field making plays. And they really limited Russell Wilson, what the Broncos want to do offensively. And they just play fundamentally sound football throughout the game there. Bailey Zappi had a good game as well. and the Patriots offense is improving somewhat over the last few weeks here. But like I said, the Patriots still have a lot of things that they got to clean up this offseason if they want to get back to playoff contention next year. The Buffalo Bills coming off of a very close road win at the Chargers 24-22. I was not expecting the Bills to be in that position, fighting the win there. I had them winning by at least 2 touchdowns comfortably. But the Chargers obviously had other plans. They kept the game competitive. They were actually up in that game. But the Bills obviously did just enough with Josh Allen, his ability to make plays with his legs, throwing the football, running the football, all that stuff. So Bills just had a little bit more talent than the Chargers did in that game to be able to pull off the close road win there. But overall in this game, I think the Patriots will cover, but Bills will win. So 26-17 Buffalo. I just think they're a better football team as they're sitting here at the 6th seed right now, and they continue their trend. And like I said, they're not. You can't write them off with the number 2 seed. They can still fight for the number 2 seed if somehow Miami slips up one of these games and Buffalo wins out, obviously. So, but the Bills win 26-17 at home. Next game, we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Chicago Bears. Bears fair by 3 points. Falcons coming off a home win against the Colts, 29-10. This Falcons team is just really hard to figure out. Every time I predict this team, one week they play well, one week they just don't play well. They're just very inconsistent week in and week out. But they somehow got the big time home win against a really good Colts team who is currently in the playoffs as we speak. And they basically just punched the Colts in the mouth throughout that game. Defensively, they really got after Gardner Minshew, and that Colts offense made life hell for them. Offense, obviously, with Heineke at quarterback played really well throughout that game as well. So they really had no issues throughout that game on both sides. They were able to do what they wanted to do. The Chicago Bears coming off of a win at home against the Arizona Cardinals, 27-16. Justin Fields obviously continues to prove why the Bears need to keep him next year. He's playing really well on that side right now. There's no need for Chicago to draft another quarterback. I think they need to bring in Marvin Harrison Jr. with the number 1 pick or whatever, and continue to build around Justin Fields at the wide receiver position and obviously on the offensive line. If you give Justin Fields time to throw the football, he'll make good things happen and stuff like that. So he played a pretty flawless game there. The Bears defense continues to be really good. Obviously, ever since they got Montez Sweat, the defense has been better and better ever since they got him and stuff like that. So they got a lot of good things going for them, even though they're not currently. They are in the playoff picture, but they're most likely not going to make it. But they are fighting each and every week. But overall in this game, give me the Bears 20-16. I just think they're a better football team. Obviously, you have a dome team in the Falcons going on the road. In cold Chicago, it's going to be 35 degrees. It's going to be freezing. It's going to be cold. So I don't expect many points in this game. I think the Bears win an ugly game here, 20-16 at home. Next game, we have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts fair by 3 points. Raiders coming off a road win at the Chiefs, 20-14. I really like the way the Raiders came out. They came out very feisty in that game, especially on the defense. To be able to hold Patrick Mahomes and crew to only 14 points at their place is pretty damn impressive, I would say. I know the Chiefs obviously have issues with their receivers dropping footballs everywhere and stuff like that, but that doesn't take away from what the Raiders did. They went in there and got a big time W. Offensively, they did just enough. I mean, they only scored 20 points, but it was more than what the Chiefs put up throughout that whole game there. So the Raiders are playing really well right now. They're sitting here at 7-8, and they're in the playoff mix. If they somehow get a win here, they put themselves right up there in that top 7. So we'll see what happens depending on how other teams play and stuff like that. The Indianapolis Colts coming off just a bad loss in Atlanta, 29-10. Not much to say about the Colts. They just didn't show up. Offense didn't do anything the whole game. Defense didn't show up. Like I said, they just couldn't do anything throughout that whole game there. I'm just going to keep that short. Overall in this game, give me the Raiders 23-17. I think this will be a lower scoring game, but I think they'll be able to play sound fundamentally defense against the Colts team who has been pretty inconsistent and stuff like that. I think the defense will be able to hold Gardner Minshew in check, and I don't think the Colts will be able to do much against this Raiders defense, who has improved ever since Antonio Pierce has been the coach there. So give me the Raiders to continue their trend here, 23-17 at Indianapolis. Next game, we have the Los Angeles Rams at the New York Giants. Rams favored by 6 points. Rams coming off of a home win against the Saints, 30-22. The Rams just dominated the Saints throughout that whole game. They really punched them in the mouth. I really like the way the Rams just kept their foot on the gas throughout that whole game and stuff like that. Defensively, they really got after Derek Carr and that offense. Derek Carr couldn't really dissect that Rams defense throughout that whole game there. He did have some plays early on, but the Rams were able to lock in on that side and be able to limit what the Saints wanted to do offensively throughout that game. Don't let the score fool you. The Rams blew them out. It was, Saints scored in garbage time pretty much. So I'm not going to let the score dictate that. They pretty much dominate the Saints throughout that game there. The New York Giants, they coming off of a road loss at the Philadelphia Eagles, 33-25. I mean, not much to say about the Giants either. I mean, they have nothing to play for right now, but I like the way they pretty much fought throughout that whole game against a really good Eagles team who has been struggling as of late themselves. But they pretty much took the Eagles down to the wire. They had a chance to win, but obviously they don't have enough talent on the offense to be able to put up enough points to be able to hold off a good Eagles team there and stuff like that. But they did compete, but they just didn't have enough. But overall in this game, give me the Rams here, 28-19. I think they're a better football team. I know they're traveling across country to the East Coast, but I think the Rams defense will be able to get after the Giants offense. Tommy DeVito and company. I don't think the Giants offense will be able to do much against this Rams defense, who's currently hungry. They're sitting here as a 6th seed right now. I think the Rams continue to trend things in the right direction here, getting a good road win, 28-19 at the Giants. Next game, we have the Arizona Cardinals at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles favored by 10.5. Cardinals coming off of a road loss at Chicago, 27-16. Not much to say about the Cardinals. They just went up against a really good Bears team, especially on defense, who basically just shut the Cardinals down and what they wanted to do offensively throughout that whole game. The defense couldn't really stop Justin Fields. He was able to run basically all over that defense throughout that game there, and he had a few touchdowns and stuff like that he was able to make for his team. Cardinals just had no answers on both sides of the ball there. The Philadelphia Eagles, they're coming off of a home win against the Giants, 33-25. That was a get-right game for the Eagles, obviously. They've been struggling over the last 3 weeks, but they got a big-time home win there. They really needed that win to get themselves back on track. The defense still concerns me a lot on that side of the ball. If the Eagles want to get back to the Super Bowl or even win it, the defense has to be better. I know you gave up 25 points, but come on, you gave up 25 points to a depleted Giants team and stuff like that. You got to be able to play better on that side of the ball if you want to get to the Super Bowl. Overall in this game, I like the Eagles here, 28-17. I think they win comfortably. They should have no issues against this Cardinals team and stuff like that. They'll be able to take care of business here and obviously keep themselves in the mix for the number 1 seed. They're not out of it yet, so they need to continue to win here to put themselves in position. 28-17 at home. NFC South battle, we have the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks favored by 3 points. Saints coming off a road loss at the Rams, 30-22. Obviously, the Saints just didn't do enough to win the game. Obviously, you had a hungry Rams team that was just all over Derek Carr and that offense throughout the whole game. Derek Carr and them got a touchdown late, but like I said, you got to be able to do that early in the game. You can't wait till the last few minutes in the game to try to score and then put yourselves back in the game. You got to be able to play for a whole 60 minutes of football, and they just have not been able to do that on a consistent basis. And with the Saints team, they've been pretty inconsistent all year. It's kind of hard to really trust this team right now. 1 week they're on it, one week they just don't play like a good team. So, they're just kind of hard team to figure out right now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're coming off of a dominant win at home against the Jags, 30-12. I know there was no Trevor Lawrence. He was in the game, but he got hurt. But this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team right now, this is the best team in the NFC South, and I kept saying that for the past couple weeks. This is their division to lose at this point. You're at home against inconsistent Saints team, good defense, but offense, like I said, has been up and down throughout the whole year. You have a Tampa Bay offense who's been hot over the past few weeks. Baker Mayfield's playing really well right now. Mike Evans is playing phenomenal football. Him and Baker are on the same page week in and week out, and I just like what they got going on down there. So, like I said, this is their division to lose, and they have no excuses to lose this game. So overall, I'm picking the Bucks 21-17, a lower scoring game. I think the Saints defense will be able to keep them in it. But I think, Derek Carr in the Saints offense is just hard to trust right now on the road at Tampa Bay, who has a lot of momentum going their way and stuff like that. So give me the Bucks 21-17 in Tampa. Next game, we have the San Francisco 49ers at the Washington Commanders. 49ers favored by 13.5. 49ers coming off a home loss to the Ravens 33-19. The 49ers just didn't show up in that game. I mean, I don't know how else I can say it. Brock Purdy had a terrible game, 4 interceptions, and was benched for Sam Darnold. The defense just was disappointing. I thought the defense would play a little more energy. Obviously, getting Chase Young, like I said, getting him at the trade deadline, I thought the defense looked better, but they just didn't show up in this game against a hot Ravens team. Lamar Jackson was able to do what he wanted all game long. He looked comfortable, didn't look rattled, and just like I said, just made spectacular plays with his legs and throwing the football against a really good Niners defense there. So the 49ers, they need the rebound here because, like I said, that was not the 49er team that we saw in weeks prior. The Washington Commanders, they're coming off of a close loss at the Jets, 30-28. Like I said, they put themselves in position to win the game, and they just didn't make enough plays down the stretch. Obviously, they were down big to the Jets early. I like the way they fought back into the game, but like I said, I just think they kind of ran out of gas towards the end there. They couldn't really get or make the plays to win the game there at the Jets. But overall in this game, I like the 49ers to bounce back here 30-14. I just think they're going to take their anger out on the Commanders team. Sam Howell was obviously benched as well last week, so we don't know what the status of him is in this game. But either way, the 49ers are going to bounce back here. They should dominate with no problems here. 30-14 in Washington. Next game, we have the Carolina Panthers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags favored by 7 points. Carolina coming off of a close home loss to the Packers, 33-30. I'm just going to keep this short here. The Carolina Panthers put themselves in great position to win the game, but they just couldn't make enough plays down the stretch. It's just that simple. The lack of experience, the lack of talent, basically was the main point of the game here. They just couldn't close the Packers out when they had an opportunity to. The Jags, they're coming off of a road loss at the Bucks, 30-12. There was no Trevor Lawrence in that game, I know, but I have not liked what I've seen from the Jags over the past few weeks. They're not playing good football right now. The hot start that they got off to early in the season, beating the number 1 seed, and now they're in the position they are now. Their season is slowly slipping away, and if they don't win this game, they're in deep trouble because now you have the Colts and the Texans on their backs right now with the same record, fighting to get in. So the Jags need to take care of business, whether if Trevor Lawrence is playing or not, and that's just what it has to be. But overall in this game, this is my upset. I'm going with Carolina 20-19. Like I said, I like the way the Carolina Panthers, even though they lost last week, they showed a little more fight than the Jags did. Jags just had no response when Lawrence went out with the injury there. I think Carolina gets their 3rd win of the season here. So 20-19 at Jacksonville. Another good game of the week right here. We have the Miami Dolphins at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens favored by 3.5. Dolphins coming off a home win against the Cowboys, 22-20. I really like the way the Dolphins, especially on defense, came out and really contained that Prescott in that Cowboys offense throughout that game. Really frustrating him in the rainy weather. You really have to give them credit on that side. They've been significantly more improved ever since they got Jalen Ramsey back. If you look at the Dolphins over the past 8 weeks, they're holding teams to 15 points per game. That's elite defense right there. So they just got to keep it up. Tua's got to be able to be more consistent down the stretch here and going into the playoffs. So if they continue to do that, as you're sitting here at 11-4, they can somehow find themselves with the home field advantage if they somehow get a big time win here at Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens, they're coming off a dominant road win at the 49ers 33-19. I really like the way the Ravens, on both sides of the ball, they just were the more physical team. There's no ifs or buts about it. Defense, they really frustrate Brock Purdy. 4 interceptions against him, which is pretty good. Lamar Jackson continues to make spectacular plays with his legs and throw the football down the field. He had no issues against that 49ers defense. He really did a good job of just dissecting and picking his spots down the field, and he just played close to a flawless game. And I think Lamar Jackson put the end to the MVP conversation. I think the MVP conversation is over. I think Lamar Jackson is your MVP if he continues to ball over these next 2 games here. But overall in this game, give me the Ravens 27-20. I just think they're a better football team. This game's in Baltimore, obviously. If this game was in Miami, I'll probably would be going with the Dolphins. But the Ravens here, I just think they're just a hot team right now. I think they continue their dominance, being 12-3. I think they continue to roll here, being the number 1 seed. So give me the Ravens here, 27-20 in Baltimore. We have an AFC South battle here. We have the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. Texans favored by 3.5. Titans coming off a home loss to the Seattle Seahawks 20-17. The Titans put themselves in position to potentially win the game there. They just couldn't make enough plays down the stretch, obviously, against a Seahawks team that's currently fighting for their playoff lives themselves. So Titans, like I said, they have nothing to play for, sitting here 5-10. But they're still competing at the end of the day. They're just not getting it done when it matters. The Houston Texans, they're coming off a home loss to the Cleveland Browns 36-22. I'm not going to say much about that game. There was no C.J. Stroud in that game against the elite Browns defense, who basically just shut down that Texans offense throughout that game. They just couldn't get anything going offensively against a really stingy Browns defense. Myles Garrett and crew, they just were able to contain the Texans offense and just play lockdown defense throughout that game, and they did just that. Obviously, C.J. Stroud hasn't practiced all week for the Texans as he's still dealing with the concussion. So that's a big blow for the Texans as they're trying to fight for their playoff lives. But overall in this game, this is another upset. I have the Titans 23-20 at Houston. Like I said, no C.J. Stroud in that game. I think the Titans will be able to play just good enough defense. Mike Vrabel, veteran coach, he'll be able to come up with a game plan to be able to limit Davis Mills, who is currently 5-22-1 in 28 games with 26 starts. So that's not good for him going up against this Titans defense, who is pretty good on that side. So I like the Titans in an upset here by a field goal on the road. Next game, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 3.5. Steelers coming off a home dominant win against the Cincinnati Bengals 34-11. I was not expecting the Pittsburgh Steelers to put up that type of points offensively, as they've been struggling pretty much the entire year on that side. Mason Rudolph just needed a chance, right? I feel like he should have been the starter all along. Mitchell Trubisky should have never been the starting quarterback over the last few weeks before Mason got an opportunity. He should have been the starter since day one. He obviously gives the Steelers the best shot to win, and it's just that simple to me. You saw George Pickens. He had a spectacular catch on the sideline, and he obviously looks a lot happy that Mason Rudolph is the quarterback, and he definitely deserves it, as the Steelers obviously are sitting here 8-7 fighting for their playoff lives for themselves here. So if they can somehow get a big-time road win here, and if they can somewhat duplicate what they did last week, then I think they have a shot here. The Seattle Seahawks, they're coming off a road win at the Titans 20-17. Seahawks, they just did what they needed to do to win the game, obviously. Good, high-scoring, ugly, whatever you want to call it. They won in ugly fashion. Every game's not going to be high-scoring, so they did what they needed to do to win. Like I said, they're sitting here at 8-7, 7th in the NFC. So they just got, at the end of the day, they got a W, and that's all that matters at the end of the day for them. Overall in this game, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks 20-17. I just think what's going to happen is, yes, the Steelers scored 34 last week. I don't think they're going to be able to do that again. This game's in Seattle, the 12th man. I think the Seahawks being at home has the advantage here. If this game was in Pittsburgh, I would be rolling with the Steelers in a heartbeat. But this game's in Seattle. I think Seattle plays better at home than they do on the road. So In that case, I'm giving the Seahawks the advantage here, 2017 in Seattle. AFC West showdown, we have the Los Angeles Chargers at the Denver Broncos. Broncos favored by 5.5. Chargers coming off a close home loss to the Buffalo Bills, 24-22. The Chargers definitely surprised me in that game with how close the score was. I thought they would lose by at least 2 touchdowns with no Justin Herbert running the show on the offense. But the Chargers, they competed throughout that game. They were actually up sometime in that game. They put themselves in position to win. But Josh Allen had other plans. Bills just have more talent on their team right now than the Chargers do. But the Chargers did compete at the end of the day, even though they had nothing to play for and stuff like that. The Denver Broncos, they're coming off of a disappointing loss at home to the New England Patriots, 26-23. That basically put the end to the Broncos' playoff hopes. They needed to win that game to give themselves a better opportunity, better chance to make the playoffs, and that just basically put all hopes to bed there. Losing to a Patriots team that's not even in the playoffs, sitting there at 3-11, excuse me. It's just a bad loss. I mean, you're at home here, Broncos. There was no excuse for you to lose that game and stuff like that. Russell Wilson, he did what he needed to do. He played well, getting the Broncos back into the game, tying the game up the way they did. But like I said, Patriots ended up making a field goal at the end there. And I'm just hearing this too, that the Broncos are benching Russell Wilson for the last 2 games, which I'm kind of surprised with. I don't know if the Broncos are giving up on the season. I don't know what the thought process of Sean Payton of benching Russell Wilson there. So I'm just hearing about that myself. So, but overall in this game, I'm still going with the Broncos to win, low scoring, 19-17. And I kind of went back and forth with the pick, but I think the Broncos defense is good enough to be able to hold East and Stick and the Chargers offense to 17 points. I think the Broncos defense will be able to play lockdown defense against the Chargers offense. So give me the Broncos here, 19-17 Denver. I don't really care about this game. Next game, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs favored by 7 points. Bengals coming off a dominant road loss at Pittsburgh, 34-11. Not much to say about that game. The Bengals just didn't show up throughout the game there. Browning got exposed. I think teams are starting to figure him out and stuff like that. He threw 3 interceptions, I believe, in that game against the Steelers, which really just put the game. The game was over after that. They just didn't have a response. Couldn't stop the Steelers offensively and stuff like that. They just got punched in the mouth throughout that game there. Not much to say. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're coming off a home loss to the Raiders, 20-14. I was really surprised with how the Chiefs offense looked throughout that game. I know the Chiefs receivers have been struggling all season with catching the football, but you only scored 14 points against the Raiders. It's just inexcusable. If the Chiefs want to get anywhere close to the Super Bowl, then their receivers got to be better. The offense just has to be better at the end of the day. The defense is doing their part. That's the only bright spot so far that the Chiefs have going on for them, is they're playing really good defense. But their offense, it's not Patrick Mahomes' fault. It's the receivers' fault. They got to be able to catch the balls. They have the most drops in football right now, and you're not going to go far in the playoffs by having that many drops. It's just that simple. We're 2 weeks out from the playoffs. The Chiefs have to play better here if they want to get anywhere near the Super Bowl. Overall in this game, though, I'm still rolling with the Chiefs, 24-16. I just think they're a better football team here. I just think the defense of the Chiefs will be able to limit Browning, and they'll be able to frustrate him throughout the game. I think the Chiefs will be able to get some interceptions against him and stuff like that. So give me the Chiefs by 8 points at home. Last game of the week, we have the Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings favored by 2 points. Packers coming off a high-scoring win at the Panthers, 33-30. Packers did what they needed to do to win. It was high-scoring and stuff like that. The offense played pretty well throughout that game. Defense obviously didn't play well, giving up 30 points to a lonely Carolina team that's fighting for nothing and stuff like that. But like I said, Packers did what they needed to do. They got a big-time win there to keep themselves in the playoff mix here. The Minnesota Vikings, they're coming off a home loss to Detroit Lions 30-24. The Vikings competed the whole game. They put themselves in position to win, but Nick Mullins continues to turn the ball over at the most inopportune time, and that basically was the difference in the game. Lions got stops when they needed to get stops. The Vikings just couldn't contain the running game of the Detroit Lions, and that basically put the game to bed there. Like I said, Mullins' turnovers really just cost the Vikings the win there and stuff like that. Overall in this game, if you look at this game, Minnesota is dealing with a bunch of quarterback issues. They don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Mullins or whoever. So in that case, that's going to give me the reason why I'm going to pick the Packers 26-23. I just think the Packers, like I said, they have a little more to play for, in my opinion. I think they're the better football team. I think Jordan Love and the crew will have a good game. And the defense will be able to contain the Vikings offense and stuff like that, depending on who the Vikings quarterback is. So I like the Packers to win by a field goal here to keep themselves in the playoff mix, 26-23. Now I'll do it. Those are my Week 17 NFL predictions. Comment your picks below. Like, share, subscribe. Hope you guys enjoy the games this weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.